The morning sky above Seoul was clear when the alien ships arrived. Kang Minho stood at the window of the United Earth Council building, watching 3 massive vessels descend through the clouds. Each ship was the size of a city block, their dark metal surfaces gleaming in the sunlight. He had been waiting for this moment for 6 months, ever since the first radio signals came from deep space. "They're beautiful," said Dr. Lee Sora, joining him at the window. She carried a tablet filled with notes about alien biology and culture. "Look at how smoothly they move. Their technology must be thousands of years ahead of ours." Kang Minho nodded but felt nervous. As Earth's chief xenodiplomat, he would be the first human to speak with these aliens face to face. The Vorthak Confederation had sent messages ahead, explaining they were a group of ancient species that had ruled the galaxy for over 50,000 years. They said they wanted to meet the new species called humans. "Are you ready for this?" asked Commander Yoon Dae-ho as he walked into the room. The military man looked tense, his hand resting on his weapon. "We don't know what they really want." "They seem peaceful," Kang Minho replied. "Their messages were polite. They called us their young cousins and said they want to help us join galactic civilization." The largest alien ship landed in the designated area outside the city. A ramp extended from its side, and the first aliens stepped onto Earth soil. They were tall and thin with purple skin and 4 arms. Their leader wore robes covered in silver symbols that seemed to move and change as he walked. The alien delegation approached the human building. Kang Minho, Dr. Lee Sora, Commander Yoon Dae-ho, and Park Ji-won, Earth's top quantum archaeologist, went outside to meet them. The moment felt historic. Humanity was no longer alone in the universe. "Greetings, young humans," said the alien leader through a translation device that hung around his neck. His voice was deep and musical. "I am High Coordinator Velthera of the Vorthak Confederation. We welcome you to the greater galaxy." Kang Minho stepped forward and bowed slightly. "Welcome to Earth, High Coordinator. I am Kang Minho, speaking for all humanity. We are honored by your visit." Velthara's large eyes studied the humans with what seemed like amusement. "How refreshing to meet such a young species. Your energy is charming. Tell me, how long has your civilization existed?" "Our recorded history goes back about 10,000 years," Kang Minho answered carefully. "Ah, just as we thought," Velthara said, nodding to his companions. "A mere infant in galactic terms. We Vorthaks have maintained civilization for 50 millennia. Some of our allies are even older." Dr. Lee Sora stepped forward. "We would love to learn about your history and culture. Perhaps you could also learn about ours?" Another alien, smaller than Velthara but wearing similar robes, made a sound that the translator interpreted as laughter. "What could being so young teach us? You have barely learned to leave your planet. We were traveling between stars when your species was still living in caves." Park Ji-won felt a flash of annoyance but kept her voice calm. "Perhaps our youth gives us a different perspective. Sometimes fresh eyes see things that experience might miss." Spoken like a true youngster, Velthara said, with what humans might have called a patronizing smile. "But do not worry. The Confederation has guided many young species into galactic civilization. We offer you protectorate status. Under our guidance, you will learn to be proper galactic citizens." Commander Yoon Dae-ho stiffened. "Protectorate status? What does that mean exactly?" "It means we will protect you from the dangers of the galaxy while you grow up," explained the smaller alien. "Young species often make mistakes that could destroy them. We will make the important decisions until you are ready." Kang Minho exchanged glances with his team. This was not what they had expected. "We appreciate your offer, but humanity prefers to make its own choices. Perhaps we could start with a simple exchange of knowledge and culture?" Velthara's expression showed surprise. "You wish to refuse our protection? That is unusual. Most young species are grateful for our guidance." "We're grateful for your friendship," Dr. Lee Sora said diplomatically. "But we've learned to solve our own problems. Our history shows that humans grow stronger when they face challenges themselves." "History?" The smaller alien seemed amused again. "What history could a species so young possibly have? You discovered fire only yesterday in galactic terms." Park Ji-won decided to speak up. "Actually, our archaeological record suggests human civilization might be older than our written history indicates. We're still discovering things about our past." Velthara tilted his head. "Older by how much? A few hundred years, perhaps?" "We're not sure yet," Park Ji-won admitted. "But some of our recent discoveries suggest much older settlements. We're investigating sites that might be tens of thousands of years old. The aliens exchanged what seemed like amused looks. Tens of thousands? Velthara said. Child, we have ruins on our homeworld that are 1,000,000 years old. What you call ancient, we call recent history. Dr. Lee Sora had been studying the aliens carefully. Something bothered her about their attitude. Hi, Coordinator. In your travels across the galaxy, have you ever found ruins or artifacts that you couldn't explain? Things left by unknown civilizations? For just a moment, Velthara's confident expression wavered. There are some mysteries in the galaxy. Ancient artifacts that predate known civilizations. We call them predecessor artifacts. But they are rare and poorly understood. What do these artifacts look like? Dr. Lee Sora pressed. Strange geometric patterns, the smaller alien answered. Metals that our science cannot identify. Energy signatures that make no sense. Most likely they were created by some extinct species that destroyed itself through war or disaster. Park Ji-won felt a strange chill. The description sounded familiar somehow, though she couldn't place why. Have you found these artifacts on many worlds? Throughout the galaxy, Velthara confirmed. Almost every major civilization has found some. In fact, many of our greatest technological advances came from studying these mysterious objects. They seem to contain knowledge far beyond what their creators should have possessed. The human delegation spent the rest of the day showing the aliens around Earth. The Vorthax were polite but clearly saw everything, through the lens of a superior species helping primitive cousins. They marveled at human art and music, but in the way adults might enjoy children's drawings. That evening, the human team met in private to discuss the day's events. They're treating us like children, Commander Yoon Daeho said bluntly. Can you blame them? Dr. Lee Sora replied. From their perspective, we are children. 50,000 years of civilization versus our 10,000. But something about their story bothers me. What do you mean? Kang Minho asked. These predecessor artifacts they mentioned. They said every major civilization has found them, and that their technology comes from studying these objects. Doesn't that seem strange? If these artifacts are on so many worlds, maybe the civilization that made them was much more widespread than the Vortex think. Park Ji-won had been quiet, thinking about the aliens' descriptions. There's something else. When they described the artifacts, the geometric patterns, the unknown metals, the energy signatures, it reminded me of something. Some of the deeper archaeological sites we've been studying have similar features. You think humans might have found these predecessor artifacts too? Kang Minho asked. Maybe, Park Ji-won said slowly. Or maybe. She paused, a wild thought forming in her mind. Maybe we should look deeper into our own past before we accept that we're as young as everyone assumes. Dr. Lee Sora nodded. I think Park Ji-won is right. Tomorrow, when the aliens tour our archaeological sites, let's pay close attention to their reactions. If these predecessor artifacts really are as common as they claim, they should recognize similar patterns in our ruins. As the night fell over Seoul, the human team prepared for the next day's tours. None of them could have imagined that their questions about the past would soon challenge everything the galaxy believed about human history. The aliens thought they were greeting a young species taking its first steps into a larger universe. They had no idea they might be meeting the heirs to the galaxy's greatest mystery. 3 weeks after the aliens left Earth, Park Ji-won stood in the cold Antarctic wind watching her team set up the quantum excavation equipment. The Vorthax had toured several human archaeological sites during their visit, but their reactions had been strange. When they saw the deeper, older ruins, they had gone very quiet. Velthara had asked detailed questions about the dating methods and excavation techniques, which seemed odd for someone who claimed humans had no real history. The quantum phase drill is ready, called Kim Hyun-woo from beside the massive machine. The quantum physicist had designed new equipment that could dig deeper than ever before, without damaging ancient artifacts. We can start whenever you give the word. Park Ji-won looked at her team. Besides Kim Hyun-woo, she had brought Choi Na-young, the best ancient language expert on Earth, and Bai Tae-hyung, who specialized in deep excavation. They were at a site in Antarctica, where ice core samples had shown traces of worked metal far below the surface. Let's see what our planet has been hiding, Park Ji-won said. The quantum drill worked by changing the phase of matter, allowing it to pass through solid rock without disturbing the structure. As it went deeper, sensors showed the team what lay beneath their feet. At first they found what they expected: ice, rock, and traces of ancient climate data. Then, at a depth of 2 kilometers, the sensors detected something impossible. That can't be right, Bae Taehyung said, staring at his screen. The readings show metal structures. Huge ones. Kim Hyunwoo checked his instruments twice. The quantum resonance is definitely picking up artificial materials. The dating signature suggests. This is really old, much older than anything we've found before. They lowered a camera probe through the quantum tunnel. What they saw on the monitor made them all go silent. Massive metal beams formed geometric patterns that stretched beyond their camera's range. The metal had a strange silvery sheen that seemed to shift colors as the camera moved. Those patterns, Choi Na-young whispered. They're not random. Look at how the beams connect. It's mathematical, like some kind of equation written in architecture. Park Ji-won remembered the alien's description of predecessor artifacts. Kim Hyunwoo, what's your dating reading on these structures? The physicist ran the calculations 3 times before answering. According to quantum temporal analysis, these structures are approximately 2.3 million years old. The team exchanged shocked looks. Human civilization was supposed to be only 10,000 years old, but here was clear evidence of advanced construction that predated everything in human history books. We need to get down there, Park Ji-won decided. Using the quantum drill, they created a larger tunnel that humans could safely travel through. The descent took 2 hours. When they finally reached the ancient structures, they found themselves in a vast underground chamber that stretched beyond their light's reach. The metal beams formed complex geometric patterns that hurt to look at directly. The mathematics involved seemed to twist space itself, creating optical illusions that made the team dizzy. But the most shocking discovery came when Choi Na-young examined the symbols carved into the metal. These aren't just decorative, she announced. These symbols represent advanced mathematical concepts. Dimensional physics, quantum mechanics, things we've only recently begun to understand. But there's something else. What? Park Ji-won asked. Some of these equations, they're familiar. Not because I've seen them before, but because they feel right. Like my brain already knows the answers, even though I've never studied this type of mathematics. They spent hours documenting the chamber. The deeper they went into the structure, the more advanced the technology became. They found energy sources that still functioned after millions of years, materials that defied analysis, and computational systems that made Earth's. Most advanced computers look like simple calculators, but the most disturbing discovery came when Kim Hyunwoo analyzed the construction techniques. This wasn't built by primitive beings, he announced. Whoever made this had technology far beyond what we have today. They understood physics at a level we're still trying to reach. But here's the really strange part. The ergonomics of the structure are designed for beings about the same size and shape as humans. Park Ji-won felt a chill that had nothing to do with the Antarctic cold. You're saying humans built this? 2 million years ago? I'm saying whoever built this had the same body proportions as humans. The doorways, the control panels, even the height of the work surfaces. They're all designed for human-sized beings. They established a temporary research camp at the site and sent for more equipment. Over the following weeks, 3 more similar sites were discovered around the world. One was buried deep beneath the Sahara Desert, another lay at the bottom of the Mariana Trench, and a third was hidden in the mountains of Tibet. Each site contained the same impossible technology and the same human proportion design. The dating on all sites showed similar ages, between 2 and 3 million years old. But the deeper the team dug, the more advanced the technology became, as if the civilization had grown more sophisticated as it went underground. Choi Na-young made the most startling discovery while studying the symbols at the Sahara site. She had been working on translating what appeared to be historical records when she realized something that made her hands shake. Park Ji-won, you need to see this, she called urgently. Park Ji-won hurried over to where Choi Na-young sat surrounded by rubbings of symbols. I've been translating these historical records, Choi Na-young explained. At first I thought they were myths or legends. But the more I work on them, the more they read like actual historical documents. And they describe something incredible. What do they say? They talk about a great civilization that spanned the stars. They describe traveling between worlds, building vast structures across the galaxy and seeding life on countless planets. But here's the strange part. They also talk about something they call the Great Renewal. What's that? Choi Na-young pointed to a complex series of symbols. According to these records, this civilization would periodically choose to reset itself. They would hide their technology, reduce their population to small groups, and start their civilization over from the beginning. Park Ji-won stared at the symbols. Why would anyone choose to do that? The records suggest they believed that staying at peak civilization too long led to stagnation and decay. So they would voluntarily return to a simpler state, keeping only small groups of guardians to watch over the hidden technology until the civilization was ready to rediscover its heritage. The implications hit Park Ji-won like a physical blow. Are you saying that modern humanity might be descendants of this ancient civilization? That we're not a young species at all, but the latest cycle of something much older? It would explain why the technology feels familiar to us, Choi Na-young said quietly. Why the equations make intuitive sense even though we've never seen them before. It might explain why human proportions match the builders of these sites. They called an emergency conference with the other research teams. Kim Hyun-woo presented his analysis of the energy signatures found at all 4 sites. The power sources are designed around principles we're only beginning to understand, he explained. But here's what's really interesting. The energy patterns match some of the readings we've detected from deep space. The same signatures the aliens described when they talked about their predecessor artifacts. Bae Tae-hyung had been analyzing the construction patterns across all sites. There's something else, he announced. The deeper structures aren't just more advanced, they're designed to be discovered. The whole layout is like a teaching system, leading whoever finds it from basic concepts to advanced technology step by step. Like they expected their own descendants to find it someday, Park Ji-won realized. There's more, Choi Na-young added. I found coordinates embedded in the symbol systems, mathematical coordinates that point to locations in our solar system. Specifically, they point to the far side of the moon. The team sat in stunned silence as the implications sank in. If Choi Na-young was right, humanity wasn't a young species being introduced to galactic civilization. They might be the descendants of the very civilization that had created the mysterious artifacts the aliens found throughout the galaxy. We need to tell the government about this, Park Ji-won finally said. And we need to contact the Vortex. If our theory is correct, then everything they think they know about galactic history is wrong. But as the team prepared their reports, they had no idea that their discoveries would soon reveal a truth even more staggering than they imagined. The coordinates pointing to the moon weren't just historical markers. They were an invitation to meet the Guardians who had been waiting millions of years for this moment. And on the far side of the moon, in facilities hidden from Earth's view, those Guardians had been watching humanity's progress with great interest, waiting for the day when their younger cousins would be ready to learn the truth about their eternal legacy. The Vorthak homeworld was a marvel of ancient architecture and technology. Dr. Lee Sora walked beside Kang Min-ho through the towering spires of the Central Galactic Library, trying to hide her excitement. When High Coordinator Velthera had invited them to visit the galaxy's greatest collection of knowledge, he had meant it as an educational tour for the young humans. He had no idea that the humans had their own agenda. Remember, we're here to learn about galactic history, Kang Min-ho whispered as they followed their alien guide through halls lined with crystal data storage units. But we're especially interested in anything about these predecessor artifacts. Dr. Lee Sora nodded. Back on Earth, Park Ji-won's discoveries had shaken everything they thought they knew about human history. If humans really were connected to the ancient civilization that built the underground structures, then the aliens' predecessor artifacts might be more familiar than anyone realized. Their guide, a scholarly Vorthak named Keth Mirren, was eager to show off the library's collection. This section contains the historical records of over 300 galactic civilizations, he explained proudly. Some dating back 40,000 years. Impressive, Dr. Lee Sora said. Do any of these records mention the mysterious artifacts you told us about? The ones you call predecessor artifacts? Keth Mirren's expression grew puzzled. It is strange that young humans would be interested in such complex mysteries. But yes, nearly every civilization has encountered these artifacts. They are one of the galaxy's greatest unsolved puzzles. He led them to a special section where crystalline displays showed three-dimensional images of various artifacts found throughout the galaxy. Dr. Lee Sora felt her breath catch as she saw the familiar geometric patterns and strange metals that Park Ji-won had described from the Earth excavations. These artifacts have been found on thousands of worlds. Keth Mirren continued. always in the deepest, oldest archaeological layers. The beings who created them must have had a vast interstellar civilization. Kang Minho studied the displays carefully. Have you ever tried to determine what species created them? Many times. But the artifacts give few clues about their makers. The technology is too advanced for proper analysis, and there are no clear cultural markers. Kethamiran paused, though there is one curious detail. What's that? Dr. Lee Sora asked. The ergonomics suggest the builders were roughly the same size and shape as your species. In fact, humans are the first species we've encountered that could comfortably use most of the artifact interfaces. Dr. Lee Sora and Kang Minho exchanged careful glances. This matched what Kim Hyunwoo had discovered in the Antarctic ruins. Could we see some of the historical records about these artifacts? Dr. Lee Sora requested. Perhaps comparing different civilizations' experiences might reveal patterns. Kethamiran was delighted to help. He provided them with access to restricted archives that contained detailed reports from dozens of species. As they studied the records, a disturbing pattern emerged. Every major galactic civilization had been founded on worlds that contained significant predecessor artifact sites. The Vorthax themselves had evolved on a planet where massive underground complexes provided the foundation for their early technological development. The same was true for every other advanced species in the Confederation. This is impossible, Dr. Lee Sora whispered to Kang Minho as they reviewed the data. According to these records, every major galactic power built their civilization by reverse engineering technology from these mysterious artifacts. Meanwhile, back on Earth, Oh Sung-min was working on a different approach. The young cryptographer had been analyzing the aliens' communication systems during their visit. When Dr. Lee Sora and Kang Minho gained access to the Vorthak archives, they arranged for Oh Sung-min to access the same systems remotely. What Oh Sung-min found in the classified Vorthak files shocked him. Hidden beneath layers of security were records that the Vorthaks had never shared with other species. These files contained the complete truth about how galactic civilization had developed. Dr. Lee? Oh Sung-min's voice crackled through the secure communication link. You need to see what I've found. The Vorthaks have been lying about their history. What do you mean? Dr. Lee Sora asked, making sure Kethamiran was out of hearing range. According to their classified records, the Vorthaks didn't gradually develop their technology over 50,000 years. They found it, all of it. Their entire civilization is based on a massive predecessor artifact complex they discovered on their homeworld. The same complex they're still mining for new technology today. Kang Minho felt a chill. Are you saying their whole advanced civilization is built on technology they don't actually understand? That's exactly what I'm saying. And it gets worse. The files contain star maps showing predecessor artifact sites throughout the galaxy. Every single world where advanced civilization developed contains major artifact complexes. The artifacts aren't random remnants of a lost civilization. They're the foundation that made galactic civilization possible. Dr. Lee Sora realized the implications. If that's true, then whoever built these artifacts didn't just have an advanced civilization. They deliberately seeded the galaxy with the technology needed for other species to develop. There's more, Oh Sung-min continued. The Vorthak files contain genetic analysis of the artifact sites. The builders were definitely humanoid, with proportions matching human anatomy. But here's the really strange part. Some of the deeper artifacts show signs of periodic maintenance and updates, even though they're millions of years old. That evening, Dr. Lee Sora and Kang Minho met privately to discuss their discoveries. They were staying in quarters provided by the Vorthaks, but Oh Sung-min had detected surveillance equipment in the rooms. We need to be careful, Kang Minho said quietly. If the Vorthaks realize what we've learned, they might see it as a threat to their position as galactic leaders. Dr. Lee Sora was studying data on her tablet. Look at this pattern, Kang Minho. Every major galactic civilization has a legend about their builders or architects, mysterious beings who left behind incredible technology before vanishing. But the descriptions of these builders are remarkably consistent across different species and cultures. What do they describe? Beings roughly human in size and proportion. Incredibly advanced but also somehow humble. Many legends describe the builders as teachers rather than conquerors, showing other species how to use technology responsibly before disappearing. Kang Minho thought about this. It sounds like whoever these builders were, they deliberately helped other species develop, then withdrew to let those species grow on their own. But why would they do that? And where did they go? The answer came from an unexpected source. While browsing the public sections of the archive, Dr. Lee Sora found a collection of ancient star maps that showed trade routes and exploration paths used by early galactic civilizations. One map caught her attention because it showed a pattern of movement that didn't match normal exploration or trade. The map showed systematic visits to specific star systems across the galaxy, following a precise mathematical sequence. The pattern repeated every few million years with slight variations each time. But what made Dr. Lee Sora's hands shake was the realization that Earth's solar system was marked on the map as one of the key points in this pattern. Kang Minho, look at this, she whispered urgently. He studied the star map. What am I looking at? This isn't a trade route or exploration path. This is a schedule. Someone has been systematically visiting specific star systems for millions of years, following a precise pattern, and Earth is one of the scheduled stops. They spent the rest of the night analyzing the map data. The pattern showed visits to Earth's system roughly every 2 to 3 million years, with each visit lasting several thousand years. The timing matched the age of the artifacts Park Ji-won had found in Antarctica. We need to get this information to Park Ji-won, Kang Minho decided. If her team follows those coordinates to the moon, they might find more than just ruins. But as they prepared to transmit their findings back to Earth, they had no idea that their activities in the archive had been noticed. Deep in the Vorthak government complex, security monitors had flagged their interest in predecessor artifacts and classified information. High Coordinator Velthara stood before a holographic display showing the humans' research activities. His expression was troubled. They are asking too many questions, said his aide, and their interest in the predecessor artifacts is beyond normal curiosity. Velthara studied the data. Perhaps it is time we learned more about this young species. There may be more to humanity than we originally believed. He activated a communication device. Prepare a deep scan of the human homeworld. I want to know what they're hiding in their archaeological sites, and send a message to our artifact research teams. Tell them we may have finally found someone who understands the builder technology better than we do. As Dr. Lee Sora and Kang Minho transmitted their discoveries back to Earth, they were unaware that their investigation had triggered a galaxy-wide search for the truth about humanity's origins. The Vorthaks were about to learn that the young species they had offered to protect might actually be the descendants of the very beings they had spent 50,000 years trying to understand. The journey to the moon's far side took 3 days. Park Ji-won sat in the cramped space shuttle, reviewing the coordinates that Choi Na-young had discovered in the ancient symbols. The mathematical precision of the location had convinced Earth's space agency to approve this emergency mission, especially after Dr. Lee Sora's reports from the Vorthak archives. Approaching target coordinates, announced the pilot. I'm reading some kind of structure on the surface, but it's partially hidden by crater walls. Park Ji-won looked out the window and gasped. What she saw wasn't just a structure. It was a complex of buildings that stretched across several kilometers of lunar surface. The architecture was unmistakably similar to the underground ruins they had found on Earth, but these buildings were clearly designed to be inhabited. Those aren't ruins, she whispered. Someone's been maintaining them. As their shuttle landed on a prepared pad, Park Ji-won saw figures in environmental suits walking toward them. The figures moved with the easy grace of people who had lived in low gravity for a long time. When the closest figure removed their helmet, Park Ji-won found herself looking at a woman who appeared completely human. Welcome home, the woman said with a warm smile. I am Moon Jisoo, keeper of the ancient records. We have been waiting for you to find us. Park Ji-won and her team were led into the lunar complex through airlocks that sealed behind them. Inside, they found a breathable atmosphere and comfortable living spaces that could house thousands of people. The technology was clearly advanced, but it felt familiar in the same way the Antarctic ruins had felt familiar. How long have you been here? Park Ji-won asked as Moon Jisoo led them through corridors lined with what appeared to be historical displays. My family has maintained this facility for 12,000 years, Moon Jisoo replied. But the facility itself is much older. It was built during the last Great Renewal, approximately 2.8 million years ago. They entered a vast chamber where other humans worked among banks of advanced computers and display systems. A tall man approached them, his eyes kind but serious. "I am Han Wujin, guardian of the Eternal Archives," he said. "And this is Lim Yuna, our genetic memory specialist. We are the descendants of humanity's true legacy." Park Ji-won felt dizzy. True legacy? What do you mean? Moon Jae-soo gestured for them to sit in comfortable chairs arranged around a central display. Park Ji-won, your archaeological discoveries have triggered the awakening protocols. It is time for surface humanity to learn the truth about who you really are. The central display activated, showing a three-dimensional map of the galaxy. Thousands of points of light marked inhabited worlds throughout the spiral arms. Humanity is not young, Han Wujin began. We are the galaxy's oldest continuous civilization. For over 10 million years, humans have maintained a vast interstellar empire that spans this entire galaxy. That's impossible, Park Ji-won protested. Human civilization is only 10,000 years old. Lim Yuna stepped forward. What you call human civilization is just the latest cycle. Every few million years, advanced humanity makes a choice to voluntarily reduce our civilization to its starting levels and begin again. The display changed to show the timeline of human history. Instead of a single line starting 10,000 years ago, it showed dozens of cycles, each lasting millions of years and reaching incredible heights of advancement before voluntarily resetting. Why would anyone choose to do that? Park Ji-won asked. Because we learned that permanent advancement leads to stagnation, Moon Jae-soo explained. Civilizations that maintain peak technology and power for too long become rigid, stop growing, and eventually decay. By periodically returning to simpler states, humanity ensures continuous growth and evolution. Han Wujin activated another display, showing the current galaxy. Every major alien civilization you've encountered exists because of human guidance. We seeded their worlds with technology and knowledge, helped them develop, then withdrew to let them grow independently. The Vorthax, the other Confederation species, they're all our students? Park Ji-won asked. In a sense, yes. Their civilizations are built on technology we left for them to find. They reverse-engineered our gifts and built their own cultures around them. We've been watching their progress for 50,000 years. Lim Yuna brought up genetic data on the display, but there's something the previous cycles didn't account for. Genetic memory. Each time humanity resets, some knowledge is passed down through biological inheritance. That's why ancient human technology feels familiar to modern humans. That's why you could understand the mathematical concepts in the ruins even though you'd never studied them before. Park Ji-won thought about Choi Na-young's reaction to the symbols, about how the equations had felt intuitively correct. You're saying we remember even though we don't know we remember? Exactly. The genetic memory grows stronger with each cycle. Modern surface humanity is more connected to our ancient heritage than any previous reset generation. That's why you've been able to find the hidden sites so quickly. Moon Jae-soo stood and walked to another display. But the current cycle is different. For the first time, surface humanity has encountered our student civilizations before fully rediscovering their own heritage. This creates a unique situation. What kind of situation? Park Ji-won asked. Han Wujin answered grimly. The aliens believe they are the galaxy's dominant powers. They've built their entire identity around being ancient and advanced compared to young species like surface humanity. Learning the truth could destabilize their civilizations. More importantly, Lim Yuna added, some alien factions might see surface humanity as a threat once they realize who you really are. They might try to eliminate you before you can reclaim your full heritage. The displays changed to show current galactic politics. Several alien species were marked in red, indicating potential hostility. That's why we've maintained these hidden facilities, Moon Jae-soo explained. We are the bridge between the old cycles and the new. We preserve the knowledge and technology that surface humanity isn't ready for. And we watch for the signs that indicate when a new cycle is ready to learn the truth. Park Ji-won looked around the chamber at the advanced technology and the humans who operated it with casual expertise. How much of our heritage could we reclaim if we wanted to? Han Wujin gestured, and the displays showed vast star maps with human installations throughout the galaxy. We have hidden facilities on thousands of worlds, automated systems that have maintained themselves for millions of years, ships that could cross the galaxy in days, Technology that makes the aliens' most advanced equipment look primitive. We could activate the full network tomorrow if we chose to, Lim Yuna said. Surface humanity would instantly become the galaxy's dominant power. But that power comes with a price. What price? Park Ji-won asked. Moon Ji-soo sat down again, her expression serious. Power like that tends to create stagnation. If surface humanity immediately inherits all our ancient technology, you might stop growing, stop exploring, stop pushing the boundaries of what's possible. You might become the kind of rigid, unchanging civilization that we reset ourselves to avoid becoming. The chamber fell silent as the implications sank in. Park Ji-won realized she was facing the biggest decision in human history: reclaim their heritage and become galactic rulers, but risk stagnation and eventual decay. Or continue growing naturally, but remain vulnerable to alien civilizations that had already learned to use human technology. There is a third option, Han Woojin said quietly. We could share the cycle with willing alien species. Teach them about renewal and growth instead of static power. Create a galaxy where civilizations help each other grow, rather than compete for dominance. Lim Yuna nodded. Some of our student species are ready for this knowledge. The Vortex are too proud, but there are others who might embrace the concept of voluntary renewal. Park Ji-won thought about everything she had learned. What happens now? Do we have to decide immediately? No, Moon Ji-soo smiled. We've waited millions of years. We can wait a little longer while surface humanity processes this knowledge, but you should know that your archaeological discoveries have triggered awakening protocols throughout the galaxy. Other hidden facilities are coming online. The time of concealment is ending. As Park Ji-won and her team prepared to return to Earth with this incredible knowledge, they knew that nothing would ever be the same. Humanity was about to learn that they weren't newcomers to the galaxy. They were its gardeners, its teachers, and its hope for continued growth and renewal. But first, they had to decide what to do with the most powerful legacy in galactic history. The emergency session of the United Earth Council had been going for 6 hours. Representatives from every nation sat around the massive table in Seoul, trying to process the information that Park Ji-won and her team had brought back from the moon. The holographic displays showed star maps, alien civilizations, and the vast network of human facilities hidden throughout the galaxy. Kang Min-ho stood at the center of the room, having returned from the Vorthak homeworld with Dr. Lee Sora just hours before. The situation is more complex than we initially realized, he announced. The aliens know something is happening. Velthara has been asking pointed questions about our archaeological discoveries, and our intelligence suggests they're planning some kind of response. Commander Yoon Dae-ho activated a new display showing alien fleet movements. Long-range sensors have detected Vorthak ships moving toward Earth. They're not attacking, but they're clearly taking defensive positions. Other Confederation species are doing the same around their home systems. Dr. Lee Sora added her analysis. The aliens built their entire identity around being the galaxy's ancient powers. Learning that they're actually students of a much older human civilization threatens everything they believe about themselves. In the back of the room, Song Min-jae, a representative of Earth's traditional archaeological community, raised his hand. With respect to everyone here, this is all very overwhelming. Yesterday we thought we were alone in the universe. Today we're being told we're the galaxy's secret rulers. How do we know any of this is true? Park Ji-won understood his concern. She activated a personal communicator that Moon Ji-soo had given her. Perhaps it would be better if you heard it directly from the source. The room's main display flickered, then showed the lunar facility. Moon Ji-soo appeared on screen with Han Woojin and Lim Yuna beside her. Greetings, surface humanity, Moon Ji-soo said calmly. I understand you have questions about your heritage. Song Min-jae leaned forward. If humans really built this galactic civilization millions of years ago, where's the proof? Why isn't our history full of stories about star travel and alien contact? Han Woojin answered. Because each renewal cycle deliberately erases those memories. The point is to start fresh, to grow naturally without being influenced by past achievements. But genetic memory preserves the essential knowledge. That's why humans adapt so quickly to new technology, why you instinctively understand concepts that should be foreign to a young species. Lim Yuna added, we can provide proof, but it comes with consequences. Activating even a small part of our ancient network would immediately reveal humanity's true nature to every alien civilization in the galaxy. The debate that followed lasted hours. Some representatives wanted to immediately reclaim humanity's full heritage and take their rightful place as galactic leaders. Others worried about the responsibility and the potential for conflict with alien species who might not accept the truth. Commander Yoon Dae-ho represented the military perspective. If we're really as powerful as these archives suggest, then we need that power to protect ourselves. The aliens aren't going to simply accept that they've been wrong about everything. But Song Min-jae argued for caution. Power like that changes people. If we suddenly have technology beyond our understanding, how do we know we won't become the kind of stagnant civilization that the ancient cycles tried to avoid? During a break in the session, Park Ji-won walked outside to think. The night sky looked different now that she knew it was filled with human facilities and alien civilizations built on human foundations. Everything had changed, yet somehow everything remained the same. Dr. Lee Sora joined her. "What do you think we should do?" "I keep thinking about something Moon Ji-soo said," Park Ji-won replied. "That this cycle is different because we've met our student civilizations before fully rediscovering our heritage. Maybe that's not a problem. Maybe it's an opportunity." When the session resumed, Park Ji-won presented her idea. "What if we don't choose between reclaiming our full heritage or staying as we are? What if we choose something new?" She activated the display to show the galactic map. The ancient cycles were about humanity growing and renewing in isolation. But now we have the chance to grow together with other species. We could share the concept of renewal with aliens who are ready for it. Kang Min-ho considered this. "You're suggesting we reveal the truth gradually and offer to teach willing species about voluntary renewal?" "Exactly. We activate enough of our heritage to ensure humanity's security and equality in galactic affairs. But we don't reclaim the full empire. Instead, we become guides and teachers, helping other civilizations learn to grow and renew themselves." Moon Ji-soo's voice came from the display. "That is a wise path. Some alien species would embrace such knowledge. The Kethani have been struggling with technological stagnation for centuries. The Mordith have legends about cyclic renewal that they've never understood. There are others who would benefit from learning these concepts. But Han Woo-jin warned, not all species will accept this knowledge peacefully. The Vorthax have too much pride invested in their position as galactic leaders. Some of the military confederations see any change as a threat to their power. As if summoned by their discussion, alerts began sounding throughout the council chamber. Commander Yoon Dae-ho quickly accessed the defense networks. "We have incoming alien vessels," he announced. "Multiple Vorthax ships approaching Earth but not in attack formation. They're requesting immediate diplomatic contact." Kang Min-ho stood. "It seems our time for private deliberation is over. The galaxy is demanding answers." The main display switched to show High Coordinator Velthara's ship. A communication request was pending. "Accept the call," Park Ji-won decided. Velthara's image appeared, but his usual confidence was gone. Behind him, other alien species representatives could be seen. This wasn't just a Vorthax delegation. "Humans," Velthara began carefully, "we have detected massive energy signatures emanating from your system. Our instruments indicate the activation of technology far beyond anything your species should possess. We demand an explanation." Kang Min-ho stepped forward. "High Coordinator, we believe it's time for an honest conversation about galactic history. We've discovered some things that might surprise you." "What kind of things?" demanded another alien voice from off-screen. Park Ji-won made the decision. "Moon Ji-soo, activate the demonstration protocol." On the lunar surface, ancient systems that had slept for millennia came online. The moon's far side lit up with energy patterns visible from Earth. More importantly, every predecessor artifact site in the galaxy suddenly activated, sending out signals that matched the lunar facility. The effect on the alien representatives was immediate. Velthara's eyes widened as his instruments detected the synchronized activation of artifact sites throughout Confederation space. "Impossible," he whispered. "The predecessor artifacts are responding to signals from your system." "Because they were built by our ancestors," Park Ji-won said simply. "The civilization you call the predecessors were ancient humans. Every advanced alien species in the galaxy developed by studying technology that we left for you to find." The silence that followed lasted nearly a minute. When Velthara finally spoke, his voice was quiet and uncertain. "You're saying that humans are the builders? The ancient civilization that seeded the galaxy with knowledge?" "We're their descendants," Kang Min-ho clarified. and we're offering to share that heritage with species who are ready to learn about growth and renewal rather than static power. What followed was the most important negotiation in galactic history. Some alien species reacted with anger, refusing to believe that their young neighbors were actually their ancient teachers. Others showed fascination, asking eager questions about renewal cycles and voluntary growth. The Vorthax struggled the most with the revelation. Their entire identity was built on being ancient and superior, but gradually, as the evidence mounted and more artifact sites activated in response to human signals, even Velthara began to accept the truth. "If this is real," he said finally, "what do you want from us?" Park Ji-won answered, "Partnership. We don't want to rule the galaxy or reclaim our ancient empire. We want to help all of our civilizations grow together. Some species might choose to explore renewal cycles. Others might prefer to develop in their own ways. But we can learn from each other instead of competing for dominance." The negotiations continued for weeks. In the end, humanity activated enough of their ancient heritage to ensure security and establish equality with the major galactic powers. Hidden facilities throughout the galaxy came online, revealing the true scope of human influence but not overwhelming the existing order. More importantly, humanity established the Renewal Academy on the Moon, where representatives from willing alien species could come to study the principles of voluntary growth and renewal. Some species, like the Cathani, embraced the concept immediately. Others, including eventually some Vorthak factions, began to explore how renewal might help their own civilizations overcome stagnation. 3 months after the revelation, Park Ji-won stood in the Academy's main hall, watching humans and aliens work together to understand the mathematics of renewal and growth. The galaxy hadn't been conquered or overthrown. It had been invited to evolve,